Today we're going to take a look at our Crawdad's anatomy here to get us ready for our quiz that we're going to take tomorrow and our dissection that we're going to be doing on Monday here. If you guys were following along in class, this was the sheet that I gave you and I asked you to doodle a side view of the Crawdad here. We're going to move through and label some of these external anatomy, looking at the ventral side of our Crawdad versus our side view of our Crawdad here to get us started. We started by labeling this head and thorax region here. This is the cephalothorax. Literally means head and chest region here. This cephalothorax is covered by a hard exoskeleton called the carapace. And then down here we see this tail region. This is the abdomen. On our abdomen, we're going to see 5 pair of these swimmerettes here. I don't know if you can see this in the video. And these swimmerettes are going to aid in movement. It's also going to help us identify the sex of our Crawdad. If we're looking up here, the difference between our male and female Crawdad, this male is going to have his first pair of swimmerettes are going to be really big and tough and hard. And typically they're going to form an upside down V. So this is going to clue us in. While the female's first pair of swimmerettes, they're going to be really soft and feathery, and typically they're not going to have a V shape. If we wanted to be technical, this term here for our first pair of swimmerettes is going to be the male copulatory appendage. And he's going to use this then to give sperm to the female. Now, number 10 on the female, this is going to be an opening where she can then receive and store the sperm. Just like our earthworm, receiving and storing the sperm, this is going to be the seminal receptacle. And she's able to hold on to this sperm. When she's ready, she will release eggs and she will catch them in her swimmerettes, and then she'll release the sperm that she's been storing. And she'll use her light, feathery swimmerettes to kind of fan the sperm over the eggs, so fertilization is going to happen outside of her body. And then using her swimmerette, she's going to hang on to these fertilized eggs until they're going to hatch. Let's see. So if we're looking at our labels here, 11 and 8, these are just pointing to the regular old swimmerettes. So if we're labeling along, we can label these. All right. Down here with our cross view of our Crawdad, we see that there are going to be 4 of these appendages here, and these are walking legs. Obviously going to be used for walking. And then this 5th pair of legs that we see here, this big pincher is going to be called a cheliciped. And this is going to be used for defense and also for finding food. Up here, an easy one, this little circle, is the eye. And the eye is going to be protected by this little visor that will extend over it, and this is called the rostrum. Up here by the eye, we also see a long pair of antennae and also a small pair of antennules. And the antenna and the antennules are going to help the Crawdad sense its environment. It's going to be able to touch and taste with them. And the attenules can also help with its equilibrium or its balance. Other things that we can add to our external anatomy, if we look down here on the tail, on the abdomen, there's going to be 5 tail fins. And if we're looking at this one in the center, if we shade this in, this one is called the telson, and then these 2 fins on either side of the telson are called uropods. And this is going to help our Crawdad swim and be able to move through the water. If we're looking up here and we're trying to label some of these, number 3 on the male, this is a cheliped. You wanted to add this label. And then number 1 is an antenna, and 2 are antennules. And it's going to be the same on the female. Here's a cheliped, we have antenna and antennules. Other things that we can take a look at on our external anatomy here, and I'm going to use some colors to hopefully help you see this. Well, number 4 is obviously pointing to an eye. We don't need a color for that. But if we color in number 5, we see there are these 2 crushing mouth parts here, and we'll go ahead and draw these and color them on the female as well, because she has them also. These 2 crushing mouth parts at number 5 are going to be the mandible. And the mandible is going to be the jaw, and it's going to crush food side to side. We're not going to be able to see the mandible unless we remove some of these maxilla here. I'm going to color this purple, and it's a structure on either side of the mandible. Right where you can see it, this is our maxilla. And they're actually going to have 3 of these structures here. They're basically going to help put food in the mouth. And then the last pair of maxilla are going to be feathered, and they can use it to brush water over their gills, and we call that one a baler, just a fancy term for it. Over here on the female, we can color her maxilla on either side of these mandibles, and we'll just draw a label up to that. And I think this is all that we need to label right now for our external anatomy. If we flip over to our internal anatomy, this is going to be a dorsal view, so we're looking at the back side of the organism. When we remove the carapace, basically we're going to cut along the seam to the abdomen. We're going to cut up pretty much to the rostrum and the eyes, and we're going to remove this entire carapace here. When we remove the carapace, first thing that we're going to see is some feathery gills on either side of these walking legs. And the gills are going to be there to exchange gas. And they're actually attached to the walking leg, so if you pulled a walking leg off, you would be able to pull some gills off too. Now this is really great, so every time they move, they're going to brush water over their gills so that way they can exchange gases. Right behind the eyes, we're going to see the stomach, and this stomach actually has 3 teeth that it's going to use to help squish and grind its food. Surrounding its stomach, and I'm going to use a different color here so you might be able to see this a little better, we can see some digestive glands. Not that you can see that it's a different color. Our digestive glands are going to help with digestion. It's going to absorb some of those nutrients and break some stuff down. Also aiding in digestion right behind the eyes, but in front of the stomach, we see these 2 organs that are called green glands. Unfortunately, they're not going to be green, but they are going to aid in digestion. They're going to remove nitrogen waste from whatever our crawdad is going to be eating here. If we follow up the rest of our digestive system, underneath the stomach and the digestive glands, we're probably not going to see the intestines, so we're going to lightly draw this. But when we get to the abdomen and we cut into this shell, on either side of this muscle here, we are going to see a dark line of intestines that are then going to help absorb nutrients and water from the food. And I guess one thing we forgot on the external side of the ventral side, all waste are going to exit through the anus. So right here above the telson on the male, I'm just going to draw a nice little circle, and this is going to be the anus. Same thing on the female. Her swimmerets are kind of in the way, but she's going to have a circle for an exit and an anus. And that is basically going to be our digestive system. Starting with the stomach, digestive glands, we see green glands, and intestines to the anus. Other things that we're going to see when we first open this up, right behind digestive glands, we're going to see a heart. Kind of has a triangle shape to it, and it does have a hole because it's an open circulatory system. So this is our heart. And the heart will have a dorsal and ventral blood vessel flowing out of it. I'm going to draw the dorsal one on this side here. Kind of runs down next to the intestines. It's our dorsal blood vessel. And I'm going to flip over to my ventral side, and this one's kind of already drawn for us, this line running down the abdomen here on the male. I'm just going to shade this in the same color. This is our ventral blood vessel. Obviously, we're going to have to cut into the abdomen to see this, but it will be a dark enough line that before we cut, if we just move these swimmerets out of the way, we should be able to see this dark line. Alright, other things that we need to add to our picture here. We can take a look at the nervous system. Up here in the rostrum, we have a simple collection of nerves, and we know that simple collection of nerves to be a ganglia. And this ganglia is going to have two nerve cords that are going to run to it. That is going to be kind of in front of the green glands here. We should be able to see these green glands behind them. And then this nerve cord is going to run along the belly side of our crawdad here. So we're not going to see it in the dorsal view, but we will see a ventral nerve cord. And I'm going to put this running down next to our ventral blood vessel because it is going to be relatively close. We'll go ahead and add this ventral nerve cord. That's going to follow along on the bottom. And then the last thing that we added in class was our reproductive system, our gonads. Now, we know based on external anatomy, we're going to have either a male or a female. Depending on what we have, we will see either ovaries or testes. And we're going to see these gonads in front of the abdomen behind the heart. If we have a female, we're going to see ovaries, and these are going to be a little bit bigger kind of oval structures here that make eggs. And if we have a male, we will see smaller circle structures here, and these are the testes that make sperm. Obviously, here we've drawn a hermaphrodite. We're not going to have a hermaphrodite in our crawdad, but we've just drawn both depending on what we have. This is what we're going to see. Larger ones are going to be ovaries, smaller ones are going to be testes. And then this is pretty much what we did in class today. I'm really going to encourage you guys, if you're watching this video, to also go through and look at the pictures in the notes, because then there is pictures of the crawdads that have been dissected that you can see what these structures look like in real life, not just diagrammed out. Also, at the end of your notes, I've given you a couple practice diagrams. Use those to study. Also, come in 7:45 tomorrow morning. I'm going to be here. We'll do a little review session. You can come doodle a crawdad with me. See you then.